So, okay. Because I have noticed a pattern here. I've noticed a pattern on people who deconstruct. I've noticed a pattern on people that have walked away from the faith. And I am curious.
Can you take a moment, just because maybe my generation, the word deconstruct is used in your generation. I know it's out there. I think there may be some watch. What does that mean, deconstruct?
Yeah.
You did what?
Yeah, so you're right. That word means probably 12 different things to 12 different people. Some people use that phrase to talk about, I'm rethinking how I used to think about something. You know, I used to think speaking in tongues was bad, but I kind of deconstructed that thought, and now I realize it's good. Some people use that word in that way.
Okay.
I don't. That's not what I'm referring to, nor is that the origin and the purpose of that word.
Okay.
We have a word already for that. That's just called learning. You're just learning, right? That's not what deconstructing is. Like, some people have made the argument, Jesus on the Sermon on the Mount, he's deconstructing some thoughts. You have heard it said, you know, don't kill your neighbor. But I'm telling you, if you hate your neighbor, see, Jesus is deconstructing the law and he's reorganizing. That's not what deconstruction is.
And that's not how you're using it.
And that's not how I'm using it. Okay. That's just Jesus teaching, you know, because the law was always about the heart anyways. That's just Jesus teaching. I am not using that word in that way. I think that's the wrong way to use the word. The word deconstruction, it comes out of the 60s, postmodernist movement. I forget the guy's name, but it's all in this denial and doubt. And it's the ultimate skepticism. So there is no ultimate truth. And so all of these concepts of even how we view the scientific method, math, 2 + 2 = 5. All of these Western ideas need to be deconstructed.
Really?
That's where this word comes from. Years and years ago, I heard this story. There was a group that went to some villages in Peru, and they set up schools, started teaching these children in these villages. They never had any education. They're out in the sticks. And anyways, they got to biology, and they ran into a problem because some of these villages taught that the way a child is conceived is, this is what they would do. A woman that wanted to get pregnant or that was told to get pregnant, every man in the village would sleep with her that night. So the child that was conceived is the village's child. It takes a village, right? That was a joke.
No, I get it. I'm just okay.
It was probably a guy's idea. I don't think a woman came up with that idea. And so the kids in the biology class now, they're confused because biology is teaching that it would have been one person's sperm cell that impregnated the egg, or whatever, not fermented, but whatever that word.
Fertilized.
The egg, and they weren't taught that. Culturally, they believe it's all of the men, because it's this family, which obviously that's horrible, and obviously that's wrong. That's not how, bearing children works. That's not how people are conceived. And so, but the people kind of ran into a problem because they don't want to commit epistemological violence. If you think one way of learning is right, it is wrong for me to come in and tell you that way of learning is wrong because all cultures are equal. So I don't want to come in and create epistemological, the way that you think, that's what epistemology is. I don't want to come in and, tell you you're wrong. Because that would be wrong of me, because you got to live by your truth, and I got to live by my truth. So that's what deconstructing is. It's basically making God in your own image.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It is the first commandment. It is the second commandment. You should not
make any graven image.
Any graven image. What? Why? Why are you not allowed to create graven images? It's because you don't get to decide or choose what God looks like.
Well, that's what that would mean. That to create a God in a graven image, you're making God be who you want him to be.
Right.
Excuse me. Maybe you want to throw out the parts of the Bible that talk about hell, so we get rid of that one.
Exactly. It's too hard to deal with.
Well, then you've just made a God the way that you want him to be, in your
Yeah.
image, in the way that you want him to be.
Yeah. And so that's really what deconstructing is. It is picking and choosing. Of course, they don't view it as that, and I recognize that. But essentially what it becomes is Christianity buffet, Christianity Buddhism, where I can just pick the parts that best fit me, and I just deconstruct and ignore the parts that disagree with. Just deconstruct those feelings of shame or doubt or conviction. You don't need to feel convicted about those things. Just let it fall out by the wayside, and you just focus on the parts that help you be the best you that you can be.
Which is just behavior modification.
Which is
not Christianity in the sense being born again.
Which is
Right.
actually completely against the core of what Christianity is anyways. Christianity is not even about modifying who you are. We're not trying to modify who Mark LeMarr is.
Not trying to make the best me.
No.
In fact,
Mark LeMarr actually has to go to the cross and die.
Yes.
And be transformed.
That's how God caused the new creation. We are crucified with Christ. We die.
Yeah.
And then, nevertheless, I live, yet not I, but Christ lives in me. The life
Yes.
that I now live, I live by the faith of the Son of God.
Exactly.
Well, so that's a big word. I just want to say this because my generation does not know, or at least I don't. I don't think a lot of my generation would know what you're using deconstruction. I mean, it's long there. It's big there. But it's basically saying that there's no absolute truth.
Correct.
2 plus 2 doesn't make 4.
Right.
Necessarily.
Well, no, because if you have 2.3 plus 2.3, if you round those numbers down, it's still 2. But if you add them together, it's 4.6. And if you round that up, it's 5. So actually, if you really think about it, but not at all, 2 plus 2 can equal 5. It just depends on how you look at it. Truth is relative. That's an argument. That's an argument I've heard.
I'm from a point, and I was going to respond. I can respond to all that because I'm not talking about 2.3. I'm talking about 2. 2 plus 2.
Yeah.
If you want to tell me 2.3, then we'll talk about 2.3. But the point being is that there are absolute truths.
Yeah.
See, and that's from the standpoint that I would come from.
Yes.
So
of course.
So there's absolute truth.
Has to be.
And that meaning that it's truth for all generations, of all people, of all time periods, of all cultures, tall, short, educated, uneducated, black, white, men, women, whatever.
Yeah.
Truth is truth.
Yeah. So
It's constant.
What I've noticed really is, in every individual that I know that's deconstructed or has left the faith, there's always been, the first step is there's always been a point of hurt. There's always been a point of contention, but really it's generally hurt. And most of the time, I found it's actually generally sexual hurt. It's usually something with same-sex tendencies or something with infidelity. Something like that has transpired either to them, which is horrible, either to them or to their family. Or a family member has gone through that, or a family member is struggling with same-sex attraction kind of thing. And so they have to, I just had a conversation. He's like a missionary, but he was attending this church. What was it, Connecticut or something like that? I forget where he even was. Oh, it was Ohio. I think it was Ohio. And yeah, the church went pretty much totally woke in the span of about a year and a half.
Wow.
Because the pastor's daughter came out as a homosexual, came out as a lesbian, got in a relationship, and dad didn't know how to reconcile that. And so he changed his theology basically to help fit where his daughter was. And started teaching and preaching from that perspective. And so my missionary friend, my buddy, he ended up, obviously they left the church and went to a different church. But
right.
But what I've always seen, most of the time, there's that type of hurt or frustration or confusion that comes in, and that's like the first domino that seems to fall.
And I've seen that, not particularly those incidents, but or never use the word deconstruction. But hurt comes in and people back off. And I think that's why there's such a great emphasis placed on forgive. Yeah. While you stand praying, forgive if you have aught against any, so that your Heavenly Father forgive you of
Yeah.
your trespasses and sin. I mean, it has
That's
to be
good.
dealt with because it's the first step in getting over hurt.
Yeah.
Is to let it go.
Yeah.
Is to give it to God. Mm-hmm. Because bad things happen to all of us. Bad things happen to good people.
Yeah. That's even the other thing with that is, I mean, the TikToks I've seen of why people have left their faith. This isn't necessarily people I know, but they can't reconcile how a good God would let bad things happen to good people.
Right.
Which that's been talked at ad nauseum. I mean, I'm not trying to.
I know. We're not trying to go there. And I
Go
would say
there.
this: who's good? There's none good. No, what not but one. We're all sinners.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I could go down this whole road, but I understand what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
It basically comes to a place of someone saying, "Why, God? Where
Right.
were you?
Right.
I feel forsaken.
Yep.
I feel left out. I feel
Yep.
like you could have fixed it. You didn't do anything. Mm-hmm. I've crashed upon these rocks of despair."
And I think to a certain extent, what you were saying earlier, I think part of that is pastors' faults.
Yeah.
Because we've tried to teach such a cushy gospel. You know,
Yeah.
the gospel is your road to success in your life. You know, if you just give, you're going to get 100-fold. You know, if you just do that, life is going to be awesome. And I know you haven't taught that, but you know the pastors that
No.
it's this cushy
yeah.
Christianity. And it's like then bad things happen or hard things happen, COVID happens, family members dies, kids struggle in sexual sin. And it's like, God, what in the world? Mm-hmm. I thought you were supposed to fix all this. Mm-hmm. Well, it's like, well, no. I mean, I'm sorry. You were kind of sold a half-truth there.
Absolutely. I use the example and have before, and it's a book out by Gene Edwards called The Prisoner in the Third Cell.
Oh, yeah.
And it's John
Great
the
book.
Baptist.
Yeah, great book.
It's John the Baptist who answered the call of God, who followed the will of God, heard the voice of God, anointed and baptized Jesus in the River Jordan. Come on. And he stood for truth, and he called sin out where he needed to call sin out, caused him to be thrown into prison. Of course, if you know the story, John the Baptist, he's beheaded. His head is brought on a silver platter, there to Herod. Anyway, he played by all the rules, seems to do everything right, and it cost him his life. So many times we as pastors have come along and said, hey, God's got a plan for your life. And in the context of that, it always means it's good, it's nice, come on, join over here. So the gospel has gone after people who are desperate, hurting.
Yeah.
And because you need a better life, come over here. And that's so sad that we have done that. Because the gospel could cause you to be called to a foreign mission and actually lose your life for his name's sake.
Yeah.
So much for a great plan for your life. It is a great plan for your life.
Right.
It's his plan.
And I think that's where we have to.
I think
Is this First Corinthians? No. Heavenly minded. Colossians.
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
I know. I'm sorry. I just read it yesterday. But we have to think eternally.
Yeah.
Not just temporally. We have to think. My life is on an eternal.
It is.
Scale.
Well, we look not at the things that are seen, but the things that are not seen.
Yeah. I don't remember what I was trying to quote.
Yeah.
I see it right there on my Bible, but I can't pull it out what it was. It was highlighted in red. I remember that. But
the point being, preparing people for a life that, it has a lot of good times, victory in Jesus, and believe in the blessings of God. But to say that there's not,
to say we're exempt from living in a fallen world. I mean, we're not.